Good morning, everyone. I have never felt as exciting to come on the stage the way we were introduced to come on the stage. So I think very exciting morning to be with all of you in this large gathering. I was just asking Anita about how did the name cafe came into mutual. She said a lot of things are done in cafe. And I was also analyzing in the earlier days about how the financial centers have developed over a period of time. What came to my notice was also the London Stock Exchange, which we all know, also came up in a cafe. They started trading in a cafe and from there to an exchange. So I'm sure the Cafe Mutual would have a long way to go in terms of what all they are trying to do, and very, very encouraging to see the type of the activities that they are able to pull together. I think today we are here, I was given a topic on how the GIFT City is unlocking the value and the opportunities for the financial services sector. Let me put it this way, when we started developing the International Financial Services Center at GIFT, I think there were a lot of apprehensions about can India really develop an International Financial Services Center, considering that the capital account we are not fully convertible, which means that we have a lot of challenges when it comes to sending money outside, money coming in. There are a lot of restrictions, a lot of tax, and a lot of other issues. And whether can India really pull something which is meaningful in terms of its contribution towards what India is trying to achieve, particularly as we are aware of what 2047 vision of the government of India now is, and also speaking after the slides presented by Prasad Jain, it is very clear that India is going to be a great growth story, and how we are going to contribute towards this. We will need pockets of excellence which will all put together, contribute towards the journey that we all are putting together now in India. In terms of setting up the IFFC, I think as I said, the apprehension was can we pull something out which is outside the capital account restrictions, and probably I think a lot of credit to the government of India to visualize an International Financial Services Center which is outside FEMA, which means that when you are in an International Financial Center in GIFT City, you are outside FEMA and you are a non-resident entity, which is obviously a starting point for the financial center to thrive. But having set up an IFFC and having got it outside FEMA, the problem for us was always been that our own professionals, our own financial experts, and our own so-called consultants and legal experts, they were all busy in selling Dubai, Mauritius, Singapore, even selling Cayman at times to the financial world, that this is the best place for you in terms of the treaty benefits that it offers, and this is how the tax benefits are offered. It was very difficult to pull out something within India where our own financial professionals believe that the journey is better outside rather than inside. And I think in this environment, setting up an International Financial Services Center, if I look back the journey of last 7-8 years of how the IFFC has progressed, I think we can divide this in 3 parts. I think the phase 1, we can say the belief that we can do within India and financial center. And that belief, I think, was brought in by a good leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister to believe that India can have an International Financial Services Center of its own, and it can serve India and it can serve global. I think this belief was very important starting point to have. But as most time we have seen in India, that the belief is one, the concept is one, but how we are going to implement the whole concept and how it's going to unfold to the financial world. I think that's where we have to give the credit in terms of how the IFFC got visualized and got implemented, which I consider that more as an implementation stage of the IFFC, where the 4 domestic regulators, RBI, SEBI, IRDA and PFRDA, came together in the initial stages to make IFFC a possibility in India by giving carve-outs from their own domestic regulations, saying that you don't need these regulations when you are an IFFC. I think that's a very important step forward, that being in a domestic regulation, being in a domestic zone, the domestic regulator did visualize that we need an International Financial Services Center which is offshore in nature and which should be outside the domestic regulations. And that we consider as a very, very important step forward in implementing the IFFC as what we see today. And if we now come to the stage 3, which is where we are in terms of the growth and what is the potential that the IFFC can achieve, I think the steps taken by the government in last 4 to 5 years, and particularly of creating a separate unified regulator within the ecosystem, having an International Financial Services Center authority with the powers of RBI, SEBI, IRDA and PFRDA and many other 15 statutes in which the powers have been given to the IFFC authority, has really tried to carve out all the regulatory issues towards one central oriented regulatory authority within GIFT IFFC zone. And that, I think, is becoming one of the very important enabler for the firms to come in. And supported this by the tax changes which the government has done in last 7-8 years, has been very encouraging to see how we have been benchmarked. Because when we started, Dubai was 0% for 50 years. Abu Dhabi is 0% for 50 years. Obviously now they have gone to 7.5 and 9. And you have Singapore, which was 10. And Malaysia, which was 3%. And we were starting at the time when at that time the MAT was 18% to get started, which the government has now brought it down to 0% out of 15 years, 10 years, 0% tax on the business profits that the IFFC units does, with the MAT also been brought down to 9%. I think if you really see from a steps taken, that you have a regulatory regime where you have a separate regulator in place, you have a tax regime which is very competitive, and you have now a way forward, which means I think probably the next question in your mind would be, what does it mean on ground? What you are seeing and what we can expect in future. Friends, I am happy to inform you that as we speak today on this gathering, at an IFFC authority, we have already crossed 700 authorizations, and out of which more than 550 plus authorizations given only in last 3 years within the IFFC zone. So we have crossed 700 mark in terms of the authorizations given. And which are those authorizations and to whom it is given. So almost 28, 29 banks, it's spread across all the type of jurisdictions that we can imagine. You have banks from US, banks from UK, banks from France, banks from Australia, banks from Singapore. They all are present within the ecosystem, and obviously large banks from India are also present there. So almost 28, 29 banks in the ecosystem now, with $62 billion of banking asset size already been with these banks in last 3 to 4 years. They were only $14 billion 3.5 years back. They reached $62 billion of banking asset size in last 2.5 years, which means that banks are clearly seeing this as a great gateway for them to set up and develop an international financial services business. What other businesses we have impacted? We have almost 29 insurance firms now, with a huge amount of dollar insurance been written from the IFFC zone. We have almost 2 international exchanges trading very high volumes in terms of GIFT Nifty. And I think gone are the days that in the morning you have to use to see SGX Nifty. You can now see the GIFT Nifty and see how the markets are going to behave, which is also very refreshing to see that our own indicator is within India, and on the basis of which we are trading on the Indian markets. So we have exchanges, we have stockbroking firms, and probably today, as we have gathered here for cafe alternatives, I think that is a segment is really been built in a big way. At least in last 2.5, 3 years, we have seen a continuous flow of the alternate investment funds coming in. And as we speak, we have almost 140 funds now in the part of the ecosystem and growing. I think every month, at least 10 to 15 new funds and fund managers are entering the IFFC ecosystem. So from an ecosystem play, where we are, I think we see this clearly as a point of inflection now in terms of the way the IFFC can grow. We've been, I think all the hard work in terms of making sure that the regulation, the tax, and also our own consultants understand GIFT better and sell GIFT rather than sell Dubai, Mauritius, and Singapore has also come into play now. In fact, I see presence of all the large consultancy firm present in GIFT now versus they've been present in other financial centers outside, which is again helping not only the zone, but also the consultants, also the companies to set up in the IFFC zone. So we have seen over a period of time, clearly an ecosystem which is emerging and has a potential to reach at least 1,000 firms by the end of this financial year, and then keep growing in terms of how we are seeing the large eco play. We also saw in the previous presentation when Prashant Jain mentioned about GCC. I think this is one of the area that the IFFC at GIFT is really developing very fast. We have Bank of America now with almost 2,400 employees in GCC practicing from GIFT, and many large tech fin firms with 1,000 plus employees entering the GIFT City zone every month, which also comes to the point that the way where we stand now, we believe that the stage is right now set for all of you as a financial professionals now to probably explore GIFT much in detail. And I was very happy to see the logos which were present here. Almost when I was looking at the logos, almost all of them are present in GIFT in some or the other form, which also speaks about the large financial institutions and their understanding of GIFT is maturing to a very different level now. I think we have come to a stage where the regulators probably have come on a common platform to work with the industry participants and try to create an ecosystem which is, conducive for us to grow. I'll not take much time because I think you come here to hear an in-depth details about the alternate investment funds, and probably this also gives me an opportunity to hand over to my colleague Pradeep, who is responsible for making the alternate investment funds a success within the GIFT ecosystem. So with this, I hand over to Pradeep, but it's very encouraging to see such large gathering, and thank you Cafe Mutual for having us today in this gathering.
Thank you so much, sir. Can I now request Mr. Pradeep Ramakrishnan to share an overview into capital market opportunities at GIFT IFSC. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for a very flattering introduction. So I never thought I had accomplished all those until I heard. It's sometimes nice to be. So there was some point in time when IFSCA had to be introduced, right? So it doesn't need a calling card anymore. It is part of everyone's lexicon. At least I'm sure 75% of the people here already know, or in some way they are invested in the GIFT City and in the IFSC. Recently, just a few weeks back, I and Pavan were part of another conference of alternatives, and I was told that 55% of the remaining Bombay-based, India-based, your alternative investment funds have already, are already looking at, establishing their funds in IFSC, which means that, and I'm talking only of the ones that have not done. It's not about the ones that have done, so it's of the remaining people. So which means that I think there is a lot of appetite and there is a lot of interest as far as this is concerned. So while I will leave it to Pavan because of his immense knowledge and the fact that he has created the regulation which is responsible for the growth of this whole IFSC fund framework ecosystem, I would like to touch upon a few points before I hand over to Pavan. The first one I want to say is that, and it's a request rather, I will start with that. The fund management regulations of the IFSC, which were enacted 3 years ago, are undergoing a change now. And we have put out the consultation paper for public comments. So we would want you to give comments because we believe in making changes once in maybe 3 years, and that is the mandate as given, because we are a regulator, probably the only regulator who has a regulation on how to make regulations, and that says that tells us that we have to do it once in 3 years. So we are making changes now. It's out. You still have 4 more days to go to give comments. So in fact, I should also say that we are also bringing the concept of platform play for the first time in India. We have released a consultation paper on that also, I think, and we are receiving comments on that. Like Dipesh ji said, around 140 funds have already established their place in GIFT because they see that place as an attractive destination from where the money can be funneled into the Indian ecosystem. The India story was very well entrenched and was very well explained by our previous speaker, and he had enumerated a lot of points on why India is an attractive destination, particularly in a world where recession seems to be the word, where there are certain problems as far as investments, the rate of return is of 8 to 9%, which we regularly seem to be having in India, is not so much anywhere in the world. So everyone seems to be interested in India. We have noted that even in our external outreaches to outside countries, no one needs to be sold India anymore, right? There was one point in time we have to say that, okay, these are the opportunities that are to you there. Now it's just that we have to just say that there is an ecosystem that is left, that is there for you people to take advantage of, and people are here. The other one which I would also want to take a minute of is, and which I am particularly excited about, is the direct listing regulations. And the reason why I am saying is that while GIFT, the IFSC is an important and attractive destination, it has largely been a conduit for money to be funneled into India as an investment destination. Now, if we are going to benchmark ourselves against a Hong Kong or a Singapore, the reason why a Hong Kong is a Hong Kong and a London is a London is because of the fact that people are able to look at that as a financial service center, financial center where you can come in and raise money, right? And so that can be a place which can raise money. Thankfully, the IFSC has seen a huge success as far as bonds are concerned. The bond ecosystem, we have seen almost 100 different issues of bonds, and also ESG and sustainable finance, which is a buzzword in the world today. Almost 60 to 70 billion dollars have been raised, and the bond ecosystem has been has actually seen a lot of traction. Now what we are going to open out is that I think just the same time last year, the finance minister announced that we are going to allow dual listing. We are also going to allow Indian companies to list abroad, and that abroad technically is the IFSC now. So we have in January 2024, the LEAP rules were sort of introduced, and changes have been made to the FEM NDI rules, and we have brought the new listing regulations. The new listing regulations are extremely light touch. They are very international in nature, while maintaining the credibility of the IFSC as an international jurisdiction. We are making it very appetizing for issuers, Indian unlisted as well as foreign companies, to look at this as an attractive destination to raise equity, right? And unfortunately, it is. I thought it would be released yesterday, but because of certain hurdles, it's not got released yesterday. It should be released by Tuesday, so you will be able to get to know. So I'm not at a liberty to sort of tell you while it's just the bottom, it's almost here. I'm not able to say because of the fact that it is still not been released, but it's going to be pretty exciting for unlisted Indian companies and foreign companies. And the reason why I'm saying it here in this platform is that you will find them as attractive destinations to invest. And as I told you, if you can always invest in GIFT also. So now what happens is that you are investing in India through GIFT. So this will ensure that you will invest in GIFT also. So that is something which is going to probably develop the IFSC as the international finance center as it has been envisaged. So I'm going to give the mic to Pavan to give his thoughts on the fund ecosystem, and also maybe apprise you of certain important reforms that we are sort of thought out through in the consultation paper also.
Thank you so much, sir. Can we have a huge round of applause, please? I now request Mr. Pavan Shah to speak on specific opportunities for fund distributors, wealth advisor, asset managers, etc. at GIFT IFSC.
Sure, thank you. Just to clarify, we have about 2-3 minutes left. Accordingly, we'll probably plan the talk. Some sense on the time? Okay. Okay. So let me spend about...
That's the amount of benevolence to the regulator.
The another speaker is also a regulator, so I'm more averse to the time. So just to give you a context of fund management at GIFT IFSC, and considering the limited time, what I plan to do over the next few minutes is just to leave a thought in your mind. What we have been thinking about this industry, how we have been thinking about it, and where we have grown in last couple of years. So essentially, the fund management piece started 2 years back at IFSCA, and when we were mandated to look at this particular area, the idea behind our mind was threefold actually. While as fund managers, you guys face a lot of challenges, lot of commercial challenges which are there. But what is within our control where we can intervene are three major areas which we had shortlisted. One was, of course, directly what we can influence is the regulation. Second is the tax piece, where we can work with the central government and the CBDT. And the third is the ecosystem of market participants. So these were the broad areas which we identified 2 years back. As far as the regulations are concerned, what we saw was, over a period of time, if we look at various jurisdictions, especially the financial centers, what they have done is the entire fund management piece has evolved over a period of 2 or 3 decades. So you always see a different piece of regulation for mutual funds, for alternatives, for managed accounts, PMS as you call it, investment advisors, REIT, InvIT, right? But behind all of it, at the end of the day, it is about managing other people's money. And if you look at how players have evolved over a period of time, those asset managers which were into retail space have moved into PMS, alternatives. Those who were into PMS have moved into alternatives and retail space as well. So every time when they add a new activity related to fund management, they'll again go back to the regulator, take a fresh approval. The regulator will do its own due diligence, and this will involve at least, if not less, at least 3 months of time. So what we realized is we need to reinvent, rethink it differently. So what we have done at GIFT is, as an asset manager, if you want to start your fund management activities in IFSC, the fund manager, as in not the individual but the entity, the fund management entity has to be registered with the IFSCA, the regulator. And once the fund management entity is registered, the fund management entity can undertake a host of activities related to fund management at GIFT, be it PMS, be it REIT InvIT, be it alternatives, be it retail schemes, all of it under one license itself. And when I say all of it under one license, it's even simpler because the initial registration may take some time, but then for each of your subsequent activities, either you can immediately start or you can just start with an intimation to the regulator, and only for those activities which involve retail investors, you'll need a prior approval of the regulator. So your time to market is very fast. And what we have seen over the last 18 months or so, I think it's okay, we can ignore the presentation, yeah. So what we have seen over the last 18 months, so regulations came in just before 2 years. Of course, for the first 3 to 6 months, everybody is waiting for the other person to first bite the bullet and take a leap into the new jurisdiction, right? So everybody was waiting, and real action started after about 6 months. And in a period of 18 months, we have seen about 130 asset managers are registered with the regulator. We have the likes of not just the Indian asset managers, but all, as in now we are also seeing global asset managers, including sovereign funds who are setting up their proprietary funds in GIFT IFSC. Together they have set up about 150 alternative schemes in IFSC. Out of all those schemes which have gone live, they are targeting a corpus of about $38 billion with cumulative commitments exceeding about $12 billion. And as we speak, actual investments have exceeded $5 billion already. So that is the ecosystem which has been built over the last 18 months. So apart from the regulations, I also alluded to the tax piece. So as a financial sector regulator in GIFT, one thing which we were very clear on was we don't want to get into a competition on the tax front. At the same point of time, we were practical enough to understand that not all market participants would move from Singapore and other geographies unless there is a parity. Of course, all of you would prefer some sweetener, some preferential treatment, but parity is something which was bare essential. So we took it up with various regulatory bodies, the authorities, Government of India, and all of them understood it pretty well. And over a period of time, what we have achieved is, by and large, if you do fund management business in any of the offshore financial centers, whatever tax treatment is available to you is available in GIFT. And in fact, there is more certainty because it is all hard-coded under the Income Tax Act. So unlike the uncertainties around DTA and other things, at least in terms of substance and the specifications are clearly right out there under the Income Tax Act itself. And the third piece was about the ecosystem of market participants, right? Any good fund jurisdiction cannot evolve unless you have good banks. Mr. Dipesh mentioned about the 28 foreign and Indian banks which are present and doing huge business. So we have got good number of custodians, fund administrators, trusteeship service providers, tax consultants, advisors, all of them present in GIFT. So the complete set of ecosystem is right out there in GIFT for the fund management industry, and it is because of which we have seen such huge traction over the last 18 months. The last piece which I would mention and which would be of interest to some of you, when I mention about the ecosystem of fund management players, the distributors also play an essential role in it. So distributors, unlike many other jurisdictions which sees distributors as only the agents of the principal, we view the distributors as an important set of stakeholders which needs to be regulated. Under our regulations, the distributors of capital market products and services are being viewed as an intermediary, and as an intermediary you are required to be registered with the IFSCA. Along with the registration requirement, of course, the eligibility norms on manpower, net worth would kick in. There will be a code of conduct. But what is more important for participants like you is, once you establish your distribution business in GIFT, not just the funds in GIFT which can be distributed in India, overseas, what we have also permitted is you can take the Indian products out to the diaspora, distribute it to the diaspora as well. You can also take foreign denominated products, distribute it to the Indian residents, or probably anybody across the world as well. Of course, there are good checks and balances and disclosure requirements, but at least the ability to do a global distribution business out of GIFT has been enabled. And more importantly, we view distributors as an important stakeholders, as an important intermediary requiring registration with the regulator. And in last about 8 to 9 months, we have seen 10 large distributors, large standalone distributors, banks which are registered with IFSCA as distributors, and the pipeline is going strong, as in there's been a lot of interest from global players as well to set up their distribution practice out of GIFT. With this, probably that's the larger piece on the fund management. As ED Pradeep sir rightly pointed out on the new set of regulations, as in, so what we continue to do is review our regulations every 3 years. This is our 3rd year. We have seen the testing. So we have put out a consultation paper. Again, the essence remains the same, ease of doing business. So wherever we realized that there were certain issues, certain difficulties, because the regulations were not tested when we had issued. After being tested by about 150 schemes and 130 asset managers, we know there are certain smaller pain points which needs to be resolved. So those EODB proposals are there. There are certain clarificatory proposals and very few safeguard proposals, which again is important to ensure the investors are protected, the jurisdiction does not get a bad name at any point in time. So those are the larger proposals. Along with the proposals, we have given a full background on how the jurisdiction has evolved in the fund management space, the various policy initiatives, and slice and dice of lot of data as well. So it's a good weekend read. I'll urge all of you to go through it. If there are any comments, feel free to share it with us. Cafe Alt was very quick. In fact, the day we had issued, I think the same day or the next day, they had also issued a blog on it. So I'm sure many of you would have gone through it. Please let us know if you have any comments. And one more, as in last comment I'll make before we leave, as in on our website, IFSCA website, we have a dedicated web page for fund management. It's a single page which provides for the regulations, a brochure, master circulars, FAQs, list of regulated entities, all of it is there. So we have not gone into the details of it, but it's right there available into a single page. Feel free to go through it. If there are any queries, contact details are out there. Please reach out to us. Thank you.